who had landed on the Kabul coffee shop doorstep, scared and alone so many years ago. But that girl was long gone, and in her place was a woman bursting with confidence, which was only right, considering how much she had accomplished. Next to Yazmina was her younger sister Layla, balancing her 12-year-old niece Najama on her lap. Sunny wrestled with the headscarf that kept slipping off her in the gritty wind. How the Afghan women always wore the chadar so effortlessly remained a mystery to her. Halajan reached in to help, looping the cloth into place in one quick move. "Hey, Hala, why aren't you the one driving?" Sunny asked. Halajan had taken great pride in secretly learning how to drive not long before Sunny's last visit. "He says I'm too old to drive." She pointed her chin toward Ahmat as she spoke. "Ach!" Sunny peered around the elephant's ear as they passed some of the new, massive wedding halls that had gone up in recent years. Las Vegas was what the road had come to be called, due to the mirrored glass and bright neon lights that far outshone the starry Afghan night skies. The traffic was still heavy, the smell of diesel and blaring of horns as familiar as her face in the mirror. It wasn't long before they found themselves in gridlock, stranded in the open car, like sitting ducks for the constant flow of beggars and peddlers, desperate for a little cash. A small hand thrust a rusty tin can, billowing with smoke, into Sunny's face. "Espan baleband?" the little boy pleaded. "Espandi?" One of those many children spending hours a day working to bring home a few Afghanis to help feed their mothers and siblings by trying to sell the burning herb thought to ward off evil spirits. The boy eyed the balloons with envy, and Sunny's heart broke. "Give him some coins, would you please, Yaz? I haven't changed any money yet." They finally inched forward, but again had to slow to a stop as they approached the police checkpoint near the American embassy, to wait their turn for inspection by the K9 unit. Sunny felt herself stiffen. The mere sight of dogs sniffing around the tyres and the swarm of men in full uniform and bulletproof vests, wielding rifles almost as big as they were, weapons they seemed to be itching to put to use, was enough of a reminder of just how dangerous a place Kabul could be. Horns honked. Tempers were on edge. Sunny watched as a pair of police wove through the chaos, sweeping mirrors on long poles under car chassis to check for explosives. The Mercedes was almost through the mess when there was a commotion up ahead. A battered red Toyota had tried to back up. Guns were drawn. A man and a woman were dragged from the car. There was shouting, lots of confusion. The man yelled back, then was suddenly on the ground. The woman looked frightened. Sunny held her breath. She knew how unpredictable the police could be. Suddenly, a loud pop sent her diving toward the floor of the car with the pink elephant clutched tightly around her head. And then, silence. "Did you drop something down there, Sunny Jean?" Hala howled after a beat. Sunny sat up to see her old friend laughing, a lifeless piece of blue rubber tied to a string dangling from her knobby fingers. The Toyota was waved through and Ahmet pulled forward. Sunny settled back into her seat, embarrassed. It had been so long since she'd lived in a war zone that she'd forgotten how normalised situations like this could become for people. When you live every day among chaos and destruction, you barely notice it. Even Sunny had found herself somewhat inured after a couple of years of living in Kabul. But she never became quite as accustomed to the havoc as the Afghans did. She remembered the day she heard a blast not far from the coffee house, strong enough to make the cups rattle on their shelves. By the time she went past the spot where the explosion had occurred, not more than an hour later, the shopkeepers were already sweeping up the broken glass from the blood-stained street, carrying on with business as usual. They were now approaching Masood Circle, where a new high-rise had sprouted from the ground. Mohib Towers. Rashif raised his